It was the year 1177 BC, and the ancient world was dying. From the shores of Greece to the valleys of Egypt, empires that had stood for over 1,000 years were crumbling to dust. Cities were burning, kingdoms were falling, and no one knew why. I am Muhammad Ullah, and this is Ancient Atlas. The Bronze Age was a time of unprecedented prosperity. The Egyptians built their grand temples. The Hittites ruled Anatolia with iron fists. The Mycenaeans sailed the Aegean Sea, and the Canaanites traded purple dye that was worth more than gold. These civilizations were connected by a complex web of trade routes that stretched from Afghanistan to Spain. Tin from Uzbekistan, copper from Cyprus, gold from Nubia. Without this trade, bronze could not be made, and without bronze, these empires could not survive. But something happened in the late 13th century BC, something that historians still argue about today. The trade routes began to dry up, ships stopped sailing, cities started fortifying their walls, and then came the invaders. Egyptian records from the reign of Pharaoh Ramesses III describe them with terror. They came from the sea, the pharaoh wrote. No land could stand before them. The Hittite Empire was their first victim. Once the superpower of the ancient Near East, the Hittites simply vanished from history around 1200 BC. Their capital, Hattusa, was burned to the ground. Their writing system disappeared. Their kings, their queens, their armies, all gone. Next fell the Mycenaeans, the people who fought the Trojan War, who built the great citadels of Mycenae and Tiryns, who inspired Homer's epics. Their palaces were abandoned, their pottery style vanished. Greece entered a dark age that would last 400 years. Then came Ugarit. This prosperous port city in modern-day Syria was a vital trade hub. Archaeologists have found a clay tablet there, still in the kiln, never fired. On it, a desperate message. The enemy ships are already here. They are burning our cities. What have I done to my father? I did not listen. Do not abandon us. The city was destroyed before the clay could harden. So who were these mysterious invaders? The Egyptians called them the Sea Peoples, but that name tells us almost nothing. They left no cities, no written records, no monuments. All we have are Egyptian carvings showing their distinct appearance. They wore feathered headdresses, round shields, swords that looked European. Some historians believe they were displaced migrants from the Aegean. Others say they were pirates from Sicily or Sardinia. A popular theory suggests they were the biblical Philistines who settled in Canaan after the collapse. Recent DNA evidence from Philistine graves in Ashkelon has shocked the archaeological world. The bones show European ancestry, specifically from southern Europe. This suggests the Sea Peoples may have been refugees fleeing their own collapsing homelands. Climate change is now considered a major factor. Core samples from the Mediterranean Sea show a severe drought lasting decades. Crops failed, famine spread. People left their homes in search of food, and when they arrived at new lands, the locals fought back. The Sea Peoples were not organized invaders with a single king. They were thousands of desperate families, armed and hungry, moving like a wave across the ancient world. But there is another theory. Some historians argue the Bronze Age collapse was not caused by outsiders at all. They point to internal decay. The great empires had become too centralized, too dependent on complex trade networks. When one link in the chain broke, the whole system collapsed. Earthquakes also played a role. Archaeological evidence shows a cluster of seismic activity around 1200 BC, destroying city after city. The Hittite capital, Hattusa, shows clear signs of earthquake damage. A wounded city is an easy target for raiders. The truth is likely a combination of factors. Drought caused famine, famine caused migration, migration caused warfare. Warfare disrupted trade. Without trade, bronze became scarce. Armies could not be equipped, cities could not be defended, and then the Sea Peoples arrived, not as the cause, but as the final nail in the coffin. By 1150 BC, the Bronze Age world was gone. Egypt survived, but barely. The pharaohs never regained their former glory. The Hittites were erased from history. The Mycenaeans faded into legend. And for 400 years, the ancient Near East lived in darkness. But here is what makes this story so compelling. The Bronze Age collapse is not just ancient history, it is a warning. Our modern world is also connected by fragile supply chains. One disruption in one part of the globe can ripple across the entire system. A drought in one region, a war in another, a pandemic everywhere. The Sea Peoples were not monsters, they were human beings trying to survive. And when survival is at stake, civilizations crumble. Today, archaeologists are still digging, still finding new evidence, still debating who the Sea Peoples really were. Each year brings new discoveries: a shipwreck off the coast of Turkey, a tablet in a destroyed palace, a DNA sample from an ancient grave. Slowly, the mystery is being solved. But one thing is certain: the Sea Peoples changed the course of history forever. They ended an age, they created a dark age, and from that darkness, a new world would eventually rise. The Iron Age, the age of classical Greece, the age of Rome. The world we inherited was born from the ashes of 1177 BC. This has been Ancient Atlas. I am Muhammad Ullah. Thank you for watching.